So as you can see, it's a GitHub 101 show. We'll be talking about Git and GitHub along the workshop. It's a 1.5 hour workshop, which includes Q&A as well at times. So we'll be keeping all those things in mind. And something about me, as Yuvraj has already told about me, I'm an incoming application engineer at Google. I'm campus expert at GitHub and also just going ambassador program for Microsoft and Postman at GitHub Institute. I've been working on Flutter for more than 2 years now and have multiple full-time experience as well as freelance experience in the field. You can find me online over my handle Shivam Goyal 1899 over that. You can simply go at Google search for my name as well. You will find me. You can find me over the website shivam.com. If you are more interested to talk about, then feel free to shoot me an email or ping me over LinkedIn. Okay, so let's jump right into the content and see what do we have today for you guys. So today we'll be talking about Git as well as GitHub. So there are two parts to it. First is Git. Let's talk about the definitions first, and then we will jump into more of the details. Right. So Git is an open source version control system. It's a distributed one. So we'll talk about every word of it. What is Git? What is open source? What is distributed? What is OBCS? In some time. Second counterpart that comes here is GitHub. GitHub is nothing but an online version of Git and has multiple things add on to it, like so we can collaborate with other people, so that's what makes it easier. So that's what GitHub is for. So let's talk about the agenda, what we're gonna see today in the entire workshop. So it starts with the question, what's a version control system? Then we'll be moving on to talking about what is the distributed version control system. What is the difference between normal version control system, what is just a distributed one? Then we'll be talking about why we are gonna use Git over other version control systems. Then we're talking about some terminology, basic terms like repositories, branches, all those stuff. What is a commit? What is the staging area? All those stuff. Then we'll be jumping on to command line for seeing some basic Git commands, discussing all of the stuff about them. Then we'll be talking about how GitHub works and how it fits into the developer lifecycle. Then we'll be talking about how the GitHub Flow works. What are the 6 basic steps to GitHub Flow. Then we'll be jumping over a full hands-on experience on the GitHub website as well as on the command line. For this workshop, there's a prerequisite that I guess you must have been told that we needed the Git command line to be installed and a GitHub account. Okay, so we'll be doing in the workshop as well. We will be showing you how to install Git and how to create a GitHub account. That's just 2-minute thing. So that would be it. And so let's jump into what's the version control system. Right. Before we start talking about what's the version control system, let's try to interact somewhere on the chat. I guess we have the YouTube chat, right? So on the YouTube chat, how many of you guys have previously worked with Git or GitHub? Can you please just go ahead, drop a thumbs up therein. You can say yes or no, maybe, right? So those guys who have previously used GitHub or Git, any kind of version control system, just go ahead and type in yes or something so that I can see how many people are experienced over this. Okay. I guess we have a response from Honey. He has used previously Git. Yeah, that's great. It would be easier for guys who have previously used Git to get on the enhanced features that we'll be talking about. So it would be easier, and they would get to know more terminology. Those guys who are new to Git, it won't be that hard for you. It's a very easy and intuitive way. We will be using charts, drawings to teach that as well. Okay, so initially we'll be talking about theory. So some of the initial points are theoretical points which is required to understood because without the basic understanding of what the topic is, what the actual thing is it's sometimes hard to tap the direct coding part or jumping on the command line. So we'll be discussing what's a version control first. So a version control system or a VCS basically tracks the history of changes as people and teams collaborate on projects together. As the project evolves, teams can run tasks, fix bugs, and contribute new code with the confidence that any version can be covered at a time. Developers can review project history to find out what changes were made, who made those changes, when were the changes made, and why were these changes needed. Right. So all of this things, all of these things can be tracked using a version control system. Now we saw a word that's distributed, right? In the initial slide, we saw that Git is a distributed version control system. That's what we call a DVCS, right? So it is generally used for open source and commercial software development as well. So what a DVCS does is it allows full access to every file, branch, and iteration of the project, and allows every user access to a full and self-contained history of all changes. Unlike once popular centers, which version control system, like if we talk about SVN or something, like they were centralized version control systems, they need a constant connection to the database to keep collaborating. But Git is not like that. Developers can work anywhere and collaborate asynchronously from any time zone, and that's just more easier, I would say. Without a version control, team members are generally subject to redundant tasks and slower timelines. Multiple copies of single project, right? So uh, that's where a distributed version control system helps us. Now, if we talk about why do we want to use Git over any other version control system? So if we see, multiple surveys that have been happening in the industry, according to the latest, Stack Overflow developer survey, more than 70% of developers use Git in their daily development cycle. So it makes it the most used VCS in the world. So Git is commonly used both for open source as well as commercial software development. As I said, it has significant benefits for individuals, teams, and businesses. So we will talk about three benefits that we see are most important when we are talking about Git. So Git lets developers see the entire timeline of their changes, decisions, and progressions on any project in one place. So you not to go to different places and see what's been happening, and you not to check every file what's been happening. Right? You get a graph-like structure where you can simply see that what's been happening on the entire project. Right? Developers work in every time zone. Now in these days we are seeing that people are generally working remotely for everything, right? In their jobs, the students are taking online classes, so there are different time zones as well. People are living in different countries, so it makes different time zones. With a DVCs like it, collaboration can happen anytime with while maintaining source codes integrity, right? Using branch, developers can safely purpose changes to production code as well. Now, third most important thing that comes up is businesses using Git can break down communication barriers between teams and keep them focused on doing their best work. That increases the productivity. Plus, Git makes it possible to align experts across business to collaborate on major projects and make it easier to develop better products. Right. So let's now jump over some terminology. What are repositories, what are branches, what is a commit, right? So a repository or a Git project basically encompasses the entire collection of files and folders associated with the project, along with each file's revision history. The file history appears as snapshots in time called commits. The commits exist as a linked list relationship and can be organized into multiple lines of development called branches. So here we talked about three or four things, that is a repository, a commit, and a branch, right? So a commit history is basically a linked list like structure, as I said. The linked list structure, those who have studied data structures must know that linked lists are basically blocks of data that are linked to each other via some memory hashes. So that's what basically commit is. So every commit has a parent commit, and more commits can be attached to it. So leading to a list that is like a chain, right? So each chain is basically called a branch, and all the branches on the project is basically called a repository. So because Git is a decentralized version control system, Repositories are self-contained units, and anyone who owns a copy of the repository can access the entire code base in their system. Using the command line or other ease of use interfaces, the Git repository also allows for interaction with the system, cloning, creating branches, committing, merging, comparing changes across versions of code. Right. So there are lots of terms that are happening right now, but with time we'll be learning that what every term means. Just try to grab as much as possible you can right now. Working in repositories also keeps development projects organized and protected. Developers are encouraged to fix bugs or create fresh features as well. Through platforms like GitHub, Git also provides more opportunities for project transparency and collaboration. Public repositories help team work together to build the best possible final product. That's more easier when you're working on a version control system. You need not to be connected to internet. There's a cloud database that stores all of the stuff for you. That's what GitHub is, right? So now let's talk about some of the basic Git commands and let's see how they work on the terminal and how they can be used. We're seeing that as well. So we'll be talking about basic commands at first, and we'll be thinking about what their meaning is. To download Git, you just need to go ahead and say download Git, right? You will simply go download Git and you can download from here. It will the latest version that's available for your PC, right? Download it very well for Windows. You go ahead, download it, install it, and it would start working fine for you. So whenever you open a terminal or whatever shell you have installed, PowerShell, terminal, Z shell, any shell will work fine. If you have bash, that will work fine as well. You can simply go ahead and type in Git, you check it, if Git is working perfectly. If not, you might be required to add Git to your environment variables. You can do so by googling it as well. You will find that add Git to environment variables for different either for Windows or Mac, whatever platform you are. You can add it to path. You will find the right and stack over that. Right. So also when you install Git, you get a Git bash with you. That's a Git GUI as well as Git bash. So Git always works in this Git bash. If you click on it, you will be able to open a shell that looks like in your terminal, but is working on a WinW compiler and natively supports Git and loads the Git files. Git will shortly work here, right? So you can go ahead and create a folder with wherever you feel expert, right? So I created this folder. In this folder, we'll be explaining everything that we need to do. Okay. So if you have installed Git for the first time, you will be requiring to configure the tooling and login credentials and what's your name and what's your email address, so that whenever you make a command that is signed with those details. So you need to put in these commands: git config global username and the name here. In the brackets, you need to paste this with your name and git config global with the email address. I have already shared the link to the chat on the YouTube, right? Okay, so also this sets the email, this sets the name. If you want to change the color and all those stuff, that is available as well for the coding, right? So once you have done that, you are good to go and start creating repositories or other files, right? So we'll be jumping on this stuff here. More comprehensive, we'll be looking on the GitHub guide that I have shared over the, I guess over the chat, right? It's not there. Let's have it. Right. So we're talking about init, clone, add, commit, status, branch, merge, pull, right? So all these commands will be talking 8 to 10 commands. That will be git, then we'll jumping over GitHub, right? So initially, first command says git init, right? So to initialize a repository, to create a new repository, we need to do is put up the git init command. So what git init does is we do git init, it says initialize the empty git repository in app workshops and the folder name and /git. So what it did is if I want to see that what it did, so it did is it created a .git folder in the my directory. So .git folder is basically it stores all the files that are related to Git that are not generally usable to you. If we go ahead and try to see, what is in that Git folder, so we can go ahead and go to this folder. When you see that there is a head description, you won't be able to, think of these files directly. They are not based on binary data, so we don't care much about that. But all of the Git or the version control system is hindered from there. So currently, I'm on the main project here. So to check that what branch you are in or what's the current status, all of the stuff. So we can check using Git status on main branch, commit set, right? Let's talk about the second branch we have. Second command we have, that's the git clone command, right? And the git clone command, what it does is it creates a local copy of any repository that we have available on GitHub, right? So let's suppose I'm going to use some repository like this repository, right? So let's go ahead and type it, clone it. So what it does, it is currently on the cloud on the GitHub, right? You want it on your local, right? So what we will do is we will simply say git clone and the URL of the repository that you want to clone to, right? Our local environment, right? That's how we will cloning the repository. So doing that, let's see how it works. Git clone. When I do this, it simply says cloning into this and info. What it does is it reaches the remote repository, asks that in this repository exists, counts all the objects and all the stuff and downloads them and unpacks them for your local repository. When you see that you have now a photo that's available, if you try to see the contents of it, you will see that all the files exist here, that the same files that available, right? So that's how it works. Let's get back to folder. Uh, So we're on this folder and we were talking about these commands. So not there are three most important commands that we use in day-to-day that are git add, git commit, and git push. So these are three commands that we use. So when we are talking local, we'll be only talking about clone and add because we are pushing it remote right now. So what is git add? Git add basically does is it stages your files that are available. Like so, let's suppose currently if I see I don't have any files available, the directory is empty, right? So what I would do is let's create a file, right? Right. Let's create a file called readme.empty. Some of the file, GitHub automatically takes it to readme.empty and it shows you. So that's why we're creating this file. Let's say, hello from readme. Right. If we save this file now, if we check, the list in the directory we have the readme.empty file, you can go ahead and check it in the Explorer as well. In the file Explorer, if you see that readme.empty file here created. Now, if we see git status, so what git status does, the git status command basically tells you what is the status of your repository right now, right? So if we see on this command, like we have this git status command, it shows the status of changes that are untracked, modified, or are being staged. It says that we have an untracked file called readme.md, right? And nothing I to commit, so you can go ahead and use git add. So git is basically very intuitive interface, tells you what to do and what's coming up next, right? So that's how it helps. So we can go ahead and say git add and the file of the and the name of the file, right? So if we say git add readme.md, what it does, it says, right, maybe I've added the file with the staging here. Now again, if we get the status, right? And then the status here, it says that changes to be committed are available, and there's a new file that is tracked now. It is in green, so whatever is tracked, it is modified on track. Whatever is in green, it is added to a stage area. Right. So these are the changes available to be that we can commit and add to our working directory. So when we're talking about that, the next command comes out is git commit, right? As it suggest you to use git commit. So what we need to do is use the command git commit. The git commit accepts a parameter that's a message. That's the commit message. We require a message to place in what's been happening and what this addition of files or these changes of files mean to us. So we need to add a hyphen f. That hyphen f denotes that this is the message that we need to set For this commit. So in the method we say like and create readme MD, right? You can give any message, any string that's possible here, right? If we say git commit hyphen MD, it says that it has created a commit on the root, right? And there is this commit hash. Every commit in Git is represented by alphanumeric hash. And this is the short hash. I will show you long hash as well. Right. So what's the message on this commit is empty. One file has changed, one is in insertion, that's the number of lines of insertion. So also the create mode was this. You must have, if you're a computer science student, you must have read about mode of files that are available. It defines what are the permissions available over the public network, over the private network. So that's what it is. So once you have all it with you, again if you check Git status, you will see that on branch me, I think commit is available. And that's the command now comes that get state that we have been using to check the status. Now that right. Again, the new things that comes up is currently you have been seeing again and again that we are using the word main, right? So what does main means here? Main is basically a branch, the default branch on any Git repository is main. Initially it's used to master, now it's main. You can rename it as well and create it, right? So you can also create that or you can create more branches as well. So if you simply say git branch, right? So when you say git branch, it says that what are the branches available, and you are currently on the main branch, right? So a branch that starts with star is the main branch, right? So if I want to create a new branch, maybe a feature branch, right? So I would need to say git checkout. There's a command, I guess, later on here, but let's go ahead and use it here. Right, git checkout. We need to say hyphen p to switch that branch as well, as we do have that branch available with us right now. So it's a flag. So git checkout hyphen p feature. So what it does is it creates a new branch and switches to that. Right. What it is doing is switching to a new branch. That's called feature. If I again run git branch, right, it will say that I'm a feature branch and the other branch about the is main branch. Right? So that's how happening right now. As we're currently on the feature branch, you see that what the files are. So we are seeing that there is a readme file available. So what it just happened when we checked out the branch of that, it checked out a branch from the main branch, right? So all the files and the changes that were on the main branch was brought up on the feature branch, and now both the branches looks the same. See here, expand it a bit. Right. So we are currently on the feature branch, and on the feature branch, if we do something and can go ahead and merge those changes, move between branch stages. That's what happens in a merge. I will be going that deep right now. We'll be going that way if we have some time after this. So let's move to pushing this branch or repository to the remote. Right? I want to create a repository and push it to remote, right? So what just happened is that we created a repository. If we see there's an example that starting a repository and publish it to GitHub. So how to do that? On the GitHub, there are two ways to create a repository. Either you can create it from here and then push it, or you can create a repository from the interface. Once you have a GitHub account, you can go ahead and use it, right? If you don't have a GitHub account, you can go ahead and say github.com/ go ahead and github.com / sign up or / join GitHub. So when you say sign up, it takes you to another page that's okay, it takes you to a page that is github.com / join. You can choose the username, email address, password, and you can just go ahead and create an account, and that's done. You have GitHub account available, right? So it's that easy to create a repository. You can go ahead and go to the repository on your profile. You can go to repositories tab. On the repository tab, you just need to click on the new. Right, on the new, you need to give a repository type. The repository we are using here is this. Right, this is the repository we are using here, and you can put up a description if you want. You can make it public, private. We talk about that as well in a minute, right? So publishing a GitHub repository is that it's very easy. Initially, we have create a new repository on our local, right? We go to that but repository, create a file, add that file, create a commit. We have already done all of this stuff right now, right? And what we need to do is we need to now add the Git remote as well as then push it to the upstream branch. So initially, what we do is we will create our repository system, right? So we have to do this up here. We're creating a public repository, create repository. Okay, so once we are done creating a repository, what happens is you need not to refer to some other guide. When we create an empty repository, the GitHub automatically shows you how to create a new repository on your local or how to push an existing repository to another. So we already, as we already have existing repository on command line that's here, we can simply use these lines to put that repository in the cloud, right? So we'll go ahead and press the copy button. Right, you'll see right hand side this copy button. We'll just go ahead and simply paste all these commands. As these all commands work, you will simply say that we have added the remote. We have switched the main branch to main, and we have pushed the origin. So what will happen right now is that it will ask you to log in with GitHub, right? So because you are not logged in with the account yet on the local system. So what we'll do is you need to either enter a personal access token, you can sign in with your browser. I will say that sign in with your browser. What it will do is it will launch an authorization application on the browser. You just need to do is authorize Git credentials, enter your password, use to authorize it, and that will just work for you. Right, authentication succeeded. Right, and you see that authentication is successful, and on the demo you will be able to see that enumerating objects and all this stuff is happening. That it is pushing the local main branch to the remote main branch. You can see branch main to set up correct branch and main from origin. So as you can see now on this repository, if you refresh this page, you will see that all of the stuff that we created locally is now available remotely on this repository. The hello from DT file is now available in the repository. And what is interesting to see here is that it says that it was created 7 minutes ago. Why is it saying that 7 minutes ago? Because the Git history doesn't change over the remote or local, right? So as we were seeing here that we have a commit hash that's FC1 FT6C. It's the same commit hash that's available here, right? FC, right? On the remote and on the local, both the commit hash are the same. So that's what makes Git, more interesting with the version control system. That makes it easier, keeping this thing consistent over the time, right? So once we have the repository on remote, what we can do is we can add people to this repository who we want to settings here. On the settings tab, we need to go to manage access. When we are on the manage access part, you can simply go ahead and click on the invite a collaborator. Just put up the username of your friends, name, email, and start showing up directly here, right? If I want to put up anything that would find here, right? You want to find India over here, that would be easy as well. So you can simply click on add them as collaborator and that's good, right? If any one of you want to try out this functionality, you can just drop in your username in the chat and I will add your repository, and we can do some fun things there as well, right? So after this, that's when we have it on the remote, we can change all this stuff here as well. Currently, what we are seeing is that it only shows one branch. When you have the whole tab, it shows that we have one branch available with this, that is main. We don't see, the branch that is the feature branch that we're going to do, right? So what we need to do is, as we saw that we added the origin here, the origin is added, the Git repository is correct, but we need to push the feature branch as well, right? So we need to push the feature branch as well. So to do that, we need to first check out the feature branch. So let's check out GitHub feature. Okay, so you need to use hyphen here, or you can use git switch as well. Switch to a new branch feature. Okay, so when we are on the branch, we are seeing that we have branch that is feature. Right, so to push it, we need to use this command tags, git push origin and branch name. One is git push hyphen origin feature. What it will do is it will create a new branch on the remote and push it to there, right? So what we are seeing right now is that there is one branch that is featured that has popped up right here on the remote, right? So it also says that we updated 11 minutes ago because it works. Now, if we want to see that there are multiple branches, if you want to create a branch from that, you can go ahead and say the main and you can jump on feature branch as well. That's perfectly fine, right? So that's most of the things that you will be doing initially during collaborate code, whether you are working on hackathons or a college project, right? That's the most of the stuff that we'll be using that you need to add files, you need to commit files and push to it, right? So the git push command you have used it right now, right? So with that, another command comes up that is git pull command. So suppose we have some changes available on the remote, right? And we need those changes that on our local. Someone else need the changes on the remote, maybe, right? So what I will do is on the main, I will edit this file with something else, right? So that's put some text here, edit one, Shivam, right? So let's say commit these changes. That's the same as just you have just now got UI interface, right? So now we have an edit available, and then you see there are two commits available in it, right? So first one was create.empty, empty, right? So when we check, get status, it shows perfectly fine to us, I guess, right? Now we need to switch to different branch as well, and we need to go back to me, get those details from the main. So now when we are on the main branch, right? So on the main branch, we need those changes to come from the uh, remote, right? So to do so, we need to do is git pull. So with git pull, what it does, it pulls all those changes that were on the remote your local. So what it did is it checked that whatever objects were changed, so it said that there was a file in the repo.empty, there was changes, there were four additions, one file change, there are three insertions and one deletion. You can see that we have inserted two things, we have deleted one thing. That's the end space scripter. That's what's happened here. Here we can see the changes, right? So one is the deletion, there's the deletion, yeah, change, and there's the addition that we did. There's the inline character, that's why you're seeing this as change as well. You can see these changes, the same things here as well, right? You're seeing that there's one, deletion, pre-addition, all this stuff. It's available on the remote as well as so all this is constant and check file. If you try to see what is the region file, it's addition, edit one value as well, right? So that's how we know that the edit exists, right? Okay, so apart from that, if you want to see this commit history that we are seeing, right, there are two commits available. We should be able to see that locally as well. So for that command exist that is called get locked. So when you do get locked, says that there are two commits that exist. First one is this, and second one is this. So if you match the commit hash, it adds with it starts with this T64, which is the same here. And the second commit starts with FC1, that's the same here, right? So both of these hashes matches. Usually the first commit is update to second commit is create to So that's all the same. It is saying that where is the head pointing to. Head is basically the pointer designating pointing to a current state of the repository that you have on the loop. So that's what head is. On the Explorer as well, you must have seen there is a file that exists called head, right? If we try to open this file, notepad, right, you will see that there's a reference that exists to main, right? So the reference is currently to main, and not to the feature branch. That's how it suggests that the reference is currently to main, right? So that's how it stores all the data. Now, the thing that comes up is the that we are talking about is the GitHub Flow, right? The flow that we use for GitHub. So whenever we are working on any project with a specific team, what we initially do is we first create a branch. We cut a branch from the main or develop branch, right? So create a new branch that we will be working on so that there are no conflict that arise when we are developing it for a week or maybe, right? So we create a branch from a canonical. That's the main branch. Suppose you have a branch name, and we create a branch from that. That's we cut a feature branch with a user our username, maybe, right? So that can keep focused, right? Not much mess. After that, we add commits whatever changes we are required to do. We can do all those changes. After that, we open a pull request. I'll show you how to open a pull request. And then we discuss and review the code with our team members. So in general software development cycles, what happens is that you are required to review others' code before merging into the mainstream. So what happens is that suppose I did some code changes, so the other person would be required to maybe two persons, maybe a senior engineer from mine or someone else would be required to review the code that it is correct and it is at par with the standards. So after that discussion, some changes are arrived, and after all those changes are calculated, what we do is we merge that pull request and then deploy it to the production or maybe the deployment branch, whatever it is. Like if you're using multiple stages, maybe some companies use multiple stages like develop, or staging, all those stuff. So that happens as well. So let's see how to open a pull request and review code. Initially, let's go ahead and right. So suppose there is some changes right on there are two commits on me right now. And when we see the feature branch, so, right. Okay, so when we are on the feature branch, we see there is only one commit, right? The number of commits differs. So what happens if I create a new file here and commit it? There will be a there will be different files that both of the repositories, but both of the branches will have, right? So let's suppose I wanna okay, so let's add a file on the add file with the add file menu. It's simply say create new file. When you create new file, we update it with let's say region to empty, right? It is being created in feature branch, and when we say we say hello file, right? So let's suppose commit these changes, right? So there's a default commit message you can change the description here if you want, right? So we're adding the commit as the commit is ended, it shows that there are two commits that you have to commit here, and it automatically pops up with a message that says this branch is one commit ahead and one commit behind me, right? So there are differences between both of the branches, and it prompts you to create a pull request. You can either create a pull request from here directly, or you can go ahead and do pull request. It shows you everywhere that feature has a recent version. You want to create a pull request. If that's not showing, you can also go to new pull request and click here. And you can see that from which branch do you want to create uh, pull request. So we want to create a pull request to main. That's correct. And we want to create it from feature and not main. Okay, so we have to select feature. So I want to create a pull request from feature to main. Right. So it shows you the merge ability. It says it is able to merge and it will automatically merge. There won't be any conflicts. It says that there's a one file change that is user to the analyst chain that is not a confirm. So what we can do, go ahead and do is create a pull request. Right. After we have created the pull request tool, when we have clicked on the create pull request, it says that you can edit the title, you can add in multiple details here, show the preview. You can suppose I put up something, uh, edit star, right? So it will show all these things here, and you can do this create pull request here. You can do different as well. If you want to save the pull request for later, you can do that as well. So now you will be able to see that there's an option to work in multiple requests. There are different options to squash as well, radius as well. You won't be going into that detail right now because we have a hard stop at 3:30, I guess. Right. So for that, here you can see there are different things available as well on the right pane. That is the reviewer section. You can actually, if you had different collaborators on the project, you can go ahead and type in their name. There will be a list that will be showing. You can type in their username, whatever it is, and add them as a review. That's you are requesting a review from them. Right? You can add an assign. You might want to add assign as yourself because you have created this one because you have made the changes. You can add labels, whatever labels. If it is bug fix, you can bug fix, right? It's a good first issue maybe, right? You can add those labels. You can add it to a project if there is a long project available. If I have some project available, I can add to that as well. If I am adding it to a milestone, that's possible. Link issues, most of the time it happens that you have some open issues and you're working on that to fix it. Right? So you can simply link that issue here and other options as well, locking and all this stuff. So what happens is now I'm gonna go ahead and see how the merge works. So I would say merge this pull request. So when I say merge, it's automatically adds title and some details. I will simply go ahead and say create merge. Right. So it will check the merge key and merge it. Right. So that's what's happening right now. Let's hang in there from it, and it will do it automatically, right? So I guess this, yeah. So it is merged. The status changed from the open to merged, and you can safely delete the branch as well, right? I guess we have a question in the chat, and he says I can compare replace with pull, uh, replace with pull for obtaining the change. Okay, change the order. Which one is better? Okay, so rebase, there are two things, that is rebase and merge, right? So with rebase, what happens is that you simply replay all the commands that are happening, right? So with the merge, what you do is you take on the current changes and create a merge command. So what is more beneficial if you're working on a project that is working on a lone project? That is like it's not a big team. Like if you are only two people, that's okay to use maybe uh, what we say rebase. But what rebase does it creates the commits again. So it replays all the changes and all the commits are rewritten. So in the cycle when we are rewriting all those commits, what happens is that all the hashes of those commits have happening changes. And if like two people are working on the same branch, if someone else pulls up, they won't be able to find those commits on the remote, right? And their project won't work anymore, right? So it would create a very complex situation. We won't want that. We don't want that to happen. That anyone else's code is not working today. That's a very bad situation to be having. If you are working on a single project, you can go ahead and use basically in situations where you require it. You don't want to create extra merges. You want your timeline to be looking uh, better than. So what merge does is it merge basically allows you to distribute on your timeline and it looks beautiful as compared to merge. If you look at merge, it will show a lot of things happening. It would feel like a net is on way here and there. So uh, replace is only helpful when you are working alone in the project. If you're working on a team, don't use replace. I would recommend that. Right. So that's my 2 cents on that. If anyone else has any question on that, please put in the comments so that I can answer that along the way, right? As we have seen that we have already merged the changes, all the changes that were happening, right? So there's an we can deploy as well. On the deployment side, we can use GitHub Pages for deployment or any other hosting services as well. When you're on the options section, you will see an option to host the website on GitHub pages settings now. Okay, so when you go to pages, there is an option here. On the pages, you can choose the source, which branch you want to publish. Like suppose I want to publish me from which folder, and publish it from the root or save it. Right, it will say me that your site is ready to publish on this URL. You can simply go ahead and go to this URL maybe to see what's happening there. Like currently, we don't have an index file, so it's not showing here automatically. But if I want to see the file that is hosted there, I can simply enter this URL. You can go ahead and share this with your friends. You'll be able to see what's being happening, what's being hosted. So you can create a simple website and host and get a pages. That's completely free for everyone. So that's a plus one here. You can use different themes as well. Right. So if I want to go ahead and choose theme here, right? Suppose I select this theme, right? And I go ahead and deploy this theme, right? So after I've done this, if I go to this, okay, so it's now the theme has changed basically to new theme that shows and shows that there's a repository, there's a readme file that exists here, right? So you can change theme as per convenience, right? Currently, this is the theme we're following here, right? Okay, so it's back. Apart from that, there's okay, so if anyone has any questions regarding Git and GitHub right now, you can go ahead and ask. And we have buffer time as well. I guess 10 minutes of time of the session to talk about those as well. Right. Before that, I would like to talk about GitHub Student Developer Pack. So what it is that go ahead and search for GitHub Student Developer Pack on Google. You will lead to the site that's education.github.com/pack. What GitHub Developer Student Pack offers is that a lot of resources for all of you guys who are students. So what the students can do is simply click on after signing in and click on GitHub Pack, and you will be able to redeem all those things available for you guys. That's lots of resources, around 50 plus resources that GitHub provides for students. What you are required to have is just your college ID, and that's work perfectly for you. What's included? Let's talk about some of the stuff that's included, right? So we have a lot of websites hosting available. So you can get a free .me domain from me. Maybe you can get $100 credits in Microsoft Azure. You can get all the software from JetBrains for free. Also, for that purpose, if you have noticed on my GitHub profile, I have a badge that says that. Okay, so I have a badge that says I'm a pro subscriber, right? So what GitHub Pro is, GitHub Pro unlocks more benefits, but it allows you to use get private repositories, use GitHub pages on that, have better support available for pro members, right? So until you are a student, you get GitHub Pro for free, right? It's $5 month, I guess, for individuals. But first, once it is provided completely free as a part of it in a GitHub pack, you can use maybe designing if you want to create websites that you can go ahead and create using bootstraps too. So over here, all this stuff, let me go ahead and share with you the URL that gives you priority access to using the package. Okay, so the link I've shared in chat, what it does, it allows you to, redeem the GitHub Student Developer Pack at, high page request. So it generally takes 3 to 4 days to get the request approved. If you go through that link, it will take 10 to 15 minutes to get the application approved. That's a priority access to that, right? You can go ahead and use it. Also, we have multiple things available. You can explore it yourself. You can go ahead and explore all the things GitHub education.github.com/back. You're also working on bringing more things here. Apart from that, GitHub also provides desktop interface. If you're not using terminal all the time, you can go ahead and download GitHub desktop as well. You just need to search for GitHub desktop in Google and find website desktop.github.com. You can download whatever version that fits you. Right. So GitHub desktop is basically a UI interface that allows you to use GitHub from a website like interface from your desktop machine. Providers available as well that like GitHub. So GitHub desktop is indeed a free software available, but if you are more into softwares that are more technical and involves more data usage or you want something like cross-platform, right? So GitKraken is will suit you more. You can use GitKraken. GitKraken Pro is basically free for all the students under the patch, so you can redeem that as well. Apart from that, we have a GitHub Campus Experts Program. So you can go ahead and apply for GitHub Campus Experts Program. So what it is we maintain people. So basically, we allow students to be leaders on their particular campuses on your institutes to lead their programs there, right? So be our representative at GitHub. So I myself is a GitHub campus expert. We recently had new recruitments, and there are lots of perks available for GitHub student experts as well. What you can do is, simply search for GitHub campus experts. You will lead education.github.com/expert, become an expert. After that, simply click on become an expert. It will lead you to a website that's called githubcampus.expert/training. Right, so you can go ahead and click on apply. That's it. Right, you can fill in the application. We will be having, I guess, a new cohort in August, right? So I would love to see some of you guys on there. That would be awesome. Right, so I guess we are pretty much done with it. I guess we have reached hard stop as well. So if you guys have any questions or you want to talk about something, feel free to come in chat or anything you want to ask. Please feel free.